and welcome to First Timers Movie Club.
I'm Patrick Poe.
And I'm Lolo Loren.
And this is a podcast where two independent filmmakers watch films that were told repeatedly by random people that we should have seen by now. And we talk about why we haven't seen them yet, what our preconceived notions of those films are. Then we'll take a break, watch that film, come back to you and tell you what we think.
Yep. So be sure to click subscribe so that you catch all of our awesome upcoming episodes featuring a lot of very famous and fun movies. I hope. I haven't seen all of them because that's the point. And be sure to rate us 5 stars. It helps other people find our podcast.
Yeah, help us grow. Give us some 5 stars. Only rate us if it's 5 stars, though.
Yeah, otherwise just like, don't bother. It's okay. You don't have to.
Awesome. So what movie are we watching today, Lolo?
Today, we are watching Titanic.
I've never seen it.
And I have. It's been a while, but yeah.
Like how long?
Probably 10, 12 years. Probably 12 years.
You're too breathy into your microphone. Do you hear that or not?
No.
Okay. So it's been like 10, 12 years?
At least I'm realizing now as I think about how old I would have been 10, 12 years ago. It's been, yeah.
Okay, so you were in your teens?
Yeah, mid-teens would have been when I saw it.
What'd you think?
I mean, it wasn't my kind of movie.
Yeah, so we'll never say a movie's bad or good.
No.
Hopefully. We'll try not to.
These are not meant to be reviews or critiques. They're more just like our impressions as we remember them. And
we're not perfect. We may slip up. We may say that it was good or it was bad or whatever. But when we say that, what we really mean is it was either for us or it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
Because all movies just...
Somebody put effort and work and loved it and made a piece of art. And just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good and hasn't touched a ton of lives.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it
wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me when I saw it in my mid-teens, but I was not a very romantic teenage creature, I guess is one way to put it. I watched a lot more sci-fi and fantasy and comedy. So.
Being her husband, I know that she's not a very romantic adult creature either.
And yeah. So it was a really long, tragic movie, which isn't a spoiler. We all know in real life the Titanic sank. And so I wasn't into the sad part or the romantic part really at that age. I'm curious to see if I feel differently now watching it as an adult and a filmmaker. Now that I'm in love and married, I don't know, probably won't. But what about you? How did you miss out? How have you not seen or why have you not seen Titanic?
Okay, well, what year did it come out?
It came out in 97.
Okay, well, we'll start there. I was 5.
Yeah.
So I didn't go see Titanic when I was 5 years old.
Oh, surprising. You didn't see the PG-13 movie when you were 5.
No. And it just kind of always, like, I have no strong feelings, really. It just kind of always swam under the radar of films that, like, I wanted to watch and, like, get around to. And, like, I bought it on Blu-ray because I was like, I'm going to watch this someday.
Yeah.
And I've owned it for like 10 years now. And it just like, when movies are a little longer sometimes, I'll choose to either watch 2 movies or a bunch of
I could get
TV
so much
shows.
more done with my time.
Yeah. Instead of watching the one 4 hours. It's the same reason I haven't seen The Hateful Eight.
It's the only, just the length.
It's the only Quentin Tarantino film I've not seen.
Yeah.
And it's sheerly the length of that film.
Gotcha.
And this is one of like 3 James Cameron films I haven't seen.
Gotcha.
It's purely the length because I am a sucker for like a good romance movie.
You are a romantic person.
Like,
and like...
One of my favorite films is The Notebook.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to really like this movie.
I think it's very possible.
I am a little nervous about, like, it's weird because it's historical. It's like historical fiction, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, I do know the Titanic sank. We're, like, going into, like, The Notebook. I had no clue what was going to happen. It's like, I kind of already know this movie so well.
Yeah.
Is why I've never seen it. Is, like,
I feel like you already know everything about it.
The Titanic sinks. I know there's the Jack and is it Rose are the two main characters.
Yeah, it's so famous. It's hard to not know the film.
Drawing scene exists. Like, I can tell you so much about this movie. The band still plays as the ship is sinking. Like, I know all of this.
Yeah.
And so because of that and the length, it's just always skated by as like, I'll get to it someday.
Yeah.
And I guess today's someday.
I guess so.
And I'm very intrigued to see
what you think of it.
Yeah, what I think of it and if it impacts me, as it's obviously impacted millions of people.
So many people. Yeah.
It's like it's like so many people's like romance movie. It's like that's a love story is Titanic.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But you've prepared to tell me why it's a movie I should have seen.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the word should have because, I don't know, it puts a lot of pressure on it and you and...
Yeah.
But yes.
But we're in the context of our podcast.
The reasons you, as a filmmaker and just a human, should have seen Titanic is, I mean... So also just, it came out in 1997.
Yep.
To give you a bit of context surrounding its release. The top 10 films that came out that year were Titanic.
So it was the top.
It was the top.
Okay.
These are the highest grossing worldwide, not including re-releases and other sales.
Top film in 97.
Titanic was top with $1.8 billion
okay.
in 97, followed by The Lost World Jurassic Park, which I'll just say these top two numbers to show you the vast difference between them. Jurassic Park, Lost World made $618 million.
Hold on. That's what? So did you say Titanic made $1 billion?
The first place film, Titanic, made $1.8 billion, and The Lost World Jurassic Park made $618 million. That's the vast difference between first and second place when Titanic came out.
Wow.
So just that alone, you're like, oh my God, people really loved this film. Other films
People saw, I just want to think of it. People saw Titanic twice as much as they saw Jurassic Park 2.
Titanic was in theaters in a lot of places, not like everywhere, but like for almost a year.
It did a year-long run in theaters?
It did almost a year-long run in theaters.
That's so cool.
To the point that Paramount, because they were still on film, Paramount had to send replacement reels to a lot of theaters because they wore out their reels.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
The theaters were like, yeah, we need more film because we wore out the film you gave us. Because we played it so many times and we're going to keep playing it.
That's amazing.
Because people keep coming.
Oh, man. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, but it also, I mean, other films that beat out.
That's, okay, so I'm never going to let this go.
I just captivated you with that piece of information.
I'm never letting this go. Because people saw it twice as much as Jurassic Park 2. I don't want to get over that because first off, Jurassic Park 1 is amazing. It's another one of like my top billion films.
Yeah.
I would love to say top 10, but I have probably...
You like a lot of movies.
70 films that are my top film.
Yeah.
Like I just said, Notebook is, Jurassic Park is. It's so many movies. Star Wars is. It's so many.
Obviously, yeah.
But you'd think that the sequel would do...
better.
I don't know how Jurassic
I don't
Park
have
1
the numbers
did.
on Jurassic Park films, so I don't know.
Oh, you didn't prepare that?
No, I didn't know you were going to fixate on Jurassic Park.
It's just, so Jurassic Park has a fan base of Jurassic Park fans. And Titanic, like, there's the history of it and historical fiction and all these things, but like, it's a franchise film versus a non-franchise film.
Yes. So the interesting thing about how Titanic had this much money and viewing is also really interesting and historic, because most films, like opening weekend is a big deal, and that first week, couple weeks is like a huge percentage of their profits and shows how it's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, so to talk a little film nerd-y, is that like current today box office numbers, pre-COVID pandemic, now it's all insane. But pre-COVID, the kind of studio mentality was if your film didn't make its money back opening weekend, it was a flop.
Yes.
So that's just...
So if you go in knowing that, so critics, before it even came out and there was stuff being leaked and crude, like, this film was predicted to be a flop because of the runtime. Titanic was, which James Cameron wouldn't cut. You know, like, they were like, this movie's too long. People won't go see it.
Well, yeah, because, like, there's all sorts of mythos around James Cameron's, like, I won't take money to make the movie the amount of runtime I want it to be, or something like crazy like that.
I don't know about that, but that sounds accurate.
I think the thing is James Cameron was like, we want to cut the film lower or something.
Yeah.
Or, like, they wanted to have more control, and he was like...
He wouldn't.
I think he passed up some of his director's fee to get more on the back end, saying, if it's bad, you didn't pay me anything.
Well, okay, that I believe that.
I'm pretty sure is the thing. Yeah, that's the myth I've heard.
That just adds to what I've heard about James Cameron, so I'm not surprised. But so they spent $200 million to make the movie, which is more than the Titanic itself cost.
These are all Wikipedia or IMDb numbers.
Yeah, these are all numbers off of the internet, so if any of this isn't true...
We don't work for a studio.
Please tell me, though.
We don't know James Cameron.
We don't have secret inside knowledge. This is all gathered from IMDb and different film sources online. But so, $200 million budget. Opening weekend, it made $28 million.
Oh, wow.
So it did not do well.
Yeah.
But then, and this is one of the only, I don't know if it's the only or one of the few films that then the following weekend, it did more.
Okay.
And then the weekend after that, it did more. And it kept building until it peaked in its 5th week. It peaked and then continued to do good enough sales to stay in theaters almost a year. It was one of the only films, if not the only, according to IMDb, to ever do that. So it was word of mouth. And people going back.
And being like, it's so good, you've got to see Titanic.
Yeah, opening weekend, arguably, nobody saw it. But then by the 5th week, it was huge.
That's crazy. I'm getting more and more excited. The more we sit here, the more I'm like, ooh, Titanic, let's do this.
So, like, people loved it. And then beyond that, it did win 11 Oscars.
Wow.
Including Best Picture, Best Director, Cinematography. The song won My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, and then a whole bunch of other stuff.
But Leo didn't win.
Leo did not win.
Because so our leads are what, Leo and Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and James Cameron directs it
and wrote it.
And wrote it. Okay,
he wrote and directed it. Yeah, that
makes sense. He writes a lot of the stuff he directs.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is like pretty late in his, well, that's a weird way to say it. Not late in his career, because obviously he made Avatar and he's made like a lot of stuff since, but like he was established. He'd done Terminator.
He'd already done Terminator. He directed Aliens.
Yeah.
Not Alien, but the second one is Aliens.
Yeah, that's the second.
He'd already done The Abyss.
The first one
Terminator
is
2,
Ridley
True
Scott
Lies.
film.
Yeah. I was just clarifying whether it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Aliens is the second. And then Titanic, after True Lies, is where it falls in.
I love True Lies. Like, I just wanted to say how much I love True Lies. I haven't seen it in a while.
Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis? Am I thinking of the right movie?
Yeah, we watched like a bit of it in the hotel room recently.
Yeah, because it was on TV.
I don't think you've actually seen the whole
movie. Not the whole
ever.
thing. What I saw was good stuff. We should watch that.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Anything else you want to tell me about Titanic?
Yeah.
Yeah? What else do you want to tell me about Titanic?
Titanic was also selected for the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, which they pick just 25 films every year that they think are important and that you should have seen to preserve and like put on their list as awesome, significant films.
And so this is one of those films?
This is one of those films. Titanic is one of those films.
Not only does James Cameron have Titanic on that list, though, he also has Terminator.
Yes.
Did you say that?
No. Do you want me to say that?
I don't know.
Or do you just want to leave this bit showing that you like know some trivia that I was supposed to present?
Yeah. I found this trivia and then I was trying to make Lolo say it and she was having a really hard time.
Yeah, it was a lot of words.
Oh, this is a great podcast. I'm glad we're doing awesome. Great first episode.
Indeed.
Also, it's the third one we recorded. So
yeah. So that's why you should have seen Titanic, and we are now going to watch Titanic.
That's great. I'm so excited.
Cool. I'm glad.
Let's go make up some popcorn, Maybe have
Cool.
a soda.
That sounds good.
sody
Pretend we're
pop.
at the movies and there isn't a pandemic on.
Yeah. Do the whole movie experience.
Cool.
Turn out the lights.
Yeah, if you listening haven't seen Titanic, you are welcome to pause this podcast now and go watch Titanic before you hear Patrick's reaction to seeing it for the first time ever.
Or if you've seen Titanic, you can just keep listening.
Yeah, just
or
keep
if you
listening.
haven't,
and you don't care,
and you don't care, just listen. Our podcast will be full of spoilers.
Yeah.
It's a podcast about seeing a movie.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
But so we'll be back after
You should have
we
seen
go
it by now.
watch the film. Yeah, you should have, guys. Come on.
All right. Well, I just full on ugly cried. Oh.
Yeah, so now you've seen Titanic.
Fuck. Oh my god. That's a lot of movie to take in. Oh my god. Lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start?
If you need a minute, I can start with some trivia to gather your words.
No, we can do this.
Okay.
We can do this.
Do you want to talk about what was different from your like built up expectations and hype and like
Yeah, so a lot. Okay. So I mean, I like the movie quite a bit. It definitely is one of like it's my type of movie.
Quite good.
It really fits in and hits with like a lot of like the Notebook. Like it's there. Yeah, it's beautiful. There's like a couple of interesting things different than what I expected in like the film itself.
Yeah.
In that, first off, just like when it opens and you see the like the submarines and stuff, and my first thought was like, that's super James Cameron-y. Because we all know he's obsessed with the ocean. Yeah. I was like, that's the most James Cameron-y way this movie could open, and I didn't know that like it was going to be a flashback. I now realize it's obviously a flashback, and like I knew that there was the old lady stuff in it because of just like where it sits pop culture wise. But like I hadn't put together that it was gonna there's like almost this narrative outside of the narrative of the Kate Winslet Leo storyline.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. Talking about the length is so interesting because you can't cut any of it. James Cameron's right.
Yeah. Watching it again, I don't know what you would cut. You'd lose
every
the
moment
impact.
Leads to another moment that everything has payoff. Like even just the little dumb things.
It's
like
incredibly written.
Him teaching her how to spit, then she spits in the guy's face. Him talking about the horseback riding, and then you see the horseback riding picture at Coney Island at the end of the film. Like everything does tie back together and is important, and it's so beautiful. And the length is necessary, and it doesn't feel long. There was no point watching it where I was like, oh, that's a long movie. Is this like, are we coming to the close? Like, the pacing's great.
Yeah.
The editing is great.
Yeah.
Their use of match cuts is ridiculously phenomenal.
So,
and I had one more thing about different than my
please.
expectations. And I've kind of just forgot it. Oh, I remember what it was. So, the natural thought of, I don't need to see Titanic. I know how it ends.
Yes.
That's what I say. That's what everyone that I've talked to that hasn't seen Titanic says. I know how it ends. And yes, you do. You know how it ends. But the film itself is a piece about how it's not about how it ends, it's the journey.
Yeah.
And so that's so interesting that a film that it's so easy to go, oh, I know how it ends, I don't need to see it. Well, we all know how everything ends. Like, it all ends you die. Like,
yeah.
but it's not about that. It's about the journey. Make the most of it. Like, that's what the film's about. And that's so beautiful about, like, the film. Because, like, that's what the movie's about. And that's, like, the complaint of why you shouldn't see the movie. And I'm over here crying about it. But, like, that's so beautiful and, like, oddly ironic and just, like, hit me because it's not about how it ends.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I was, something I was thinking watching it and wanted to make sure we talked about also because, like, I've seen the movie, not for I realized like 15 years, and I probably didn't give it enough attention when I watched it, you know. I was probably doing other things like I used to do a lot. And
I'm full crying over here
watching it with all the lights off like we did, we tried to make it a really cinematic experience. I also cried at the end of it and found it much more engaging than I did 15 years ago. But one of the things I was thinking watching it too, because you were like, well, I don't need to see it because I know the ship sinks.
Yeah.
And half the people die. But like then watching the film, just like from a writing standpoint at the beginning too, it's almost like James Cameron opens it with, yeah, we all know how this ends. I know that I'm going to show you exactly how the ship sinks in a 30-second animation. We're going to make light of it. We're going to make a joke. And then we're going to be like, yeah, we all know how it ends. Now let's tell the story.
It's
and
the
somehow
journey.
that like drew me in more, that it wasn't like they were building to the sink. Like it was.
And it's so beautiful because like they do the animatic and then the lady even is like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it was
different.
The experience of it's different. And then at the end when the submarine guy, the guy who's hunting for the treasure or whatever, is like, I'd never looked at it. Like, my whole life's been about the Titanic. I know the Titanic. I know the story. But I'd never made it personal. And that's what the movie does. And it's it's fucking perfect.
Yeah. It's not overhyped, you would say, then?
No.
Worthy of its...
Yeah. And, like, yeah, you probably should see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree on...
I did realize that's thinking where, like, the you should see it, like... or like you should have seen it. Mm-hmm. It's even the more annoying thing is how have you not seen the Titanic? Like, you're a filmmaker. How have you not seen? How have you not seen? It's like, well, how I've not seen is I didn't put the fucking movie in and hit play. It's very easy to not see something.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more work to actually give yourself the attention.
Yeah.
I just realized that and I wanted to like kind of mention on the podcast is that it takes the attention. And like you even mentioned like watching it when you were younger.
I don't think I gave it my full attention, which is not how a film, I was going to say how this film, but how any film is meant to be experienced.
Exactly.
It's meant to be experienced with 100% of your attention and your suspension of disbelief, and just like you have to completely give yourself over to it or you're not going to get out of it.
And that's what's beautiful about a theater.
Yes.
Is that nearly forces you to.
Yeah. And
I'm really glad we're doing this, and that each time we've done a movie for this, because like I said, this is the third one we've watched, first episode coming out.
Yeah.
I've put my phone away.
Yeah.
Every time. I put it in a drawer, I've turned it off, and I'm so glad I've done that, because watching these movies this way is beautiful, and it's
something
so
we
great.
Don't often do. We don't give them our full attention.
Yeah.
We will have a light on, we'll check our phones, we'll be eating something, we'll a lot
of times you'll consider it background noise.
Yeah.
But I encourage our listeners to go watch a movie and just give it give it your full attention, especially because we've been in a shutdown for so long. I doubt many people have gone to a theater in a year.
Yeah.
Give yourself this experience.
Yeah.
Turn your phone off, watch a movie. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Watch the Titanic if you haven't seen it. Watch it if you have seen it. It did a lot for Lolo.
Yeah.
Man.
It did.
It was it was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was really beautiful. And like, it's one of those things where the movie is so well made because there are a million memes nowadays of the movie.
Yes.
There's a million jokes. It's spoofed in things. Like when they got to the car, I knew they were going to have sex in it because
there's a pop culture.
There's some other thing where someone hides under the car they have sex in some animated thing I've seen. I'm like, I can remember that in my head. Like, I've seen that. And like, there's all sorts of things. And like the I'm flying moment gets made fun of. And rightfully so. That's a dumb moment. But in the movie, out of context, that moment would never work.
Yeah.
But in the movie, in the way it's edited, in the music in the moment, in the acting, in the directing, in the editing, in the scripting, it works in that moment, and it's beautiful. And I get why people make fun of it out of context, but in the context of the film, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you had given me that script, and I would have read that bit and been like, no, we can't do I'm flying. This is the dumbest thing I've ever read, Lolo.
Yeah.
But, like, James Cameron believed in this vision, and he executed it, and it's great.
So I'm just letting you know, the next time we're fighting about a line in a script that I've written, I'm going to bring up this moment and be like, Patrick, I'm flying worked in Titanic.
And I'm going to go, Lolo, you're no James Cameron.
And that would be fair. He's very talented.
Your first film wasn't Terminator. It wasn't really, but like kind of was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been working in props for a really long time. Blah, 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 blah. James Cameron history. Da-da-da. Yeah, it was great. I'm really glad I've seen that movie. Like,
and I'm glad I've feel like I've actually seen it now.
I'm such a sucker for like the kind of like, he's not an asshole, but he's like so confident, cocky, like leading male who like, he's not mean to the like that character. Leo in Titanic is the same character as Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. It's the same character.
He doesn't treat her with kid gloves.
Exactly.
Her fiance is mean.
Yeah.
But he doesn't treat her like she's delicate.
No. He's like, yeah, you weren't gonna kill yourself. Like there's some like things that just like you're like, it's, oh my god.
Kind of like, a little mean, but
like it's like strong, but it's it's
your kind of man. It's the kind of man you go for.
I'm here for Leo and Ryan. Oh my god. And like dream roles. But yeah, I love it. I will I had something if you jump, I jump is the new if you're a bird, then I'm a bird for me.
Yes, I assumed that would be. I didn't remember that line, but the first time they said it, I was like, oh, this is Patrick's thing
I'm swooning.
now.
Oh my god. Oh, I love it. And just so totally on a different topic though, mentally about how much I love that movie and like, want to be in a movie like that. So I want to, that's the dream. Somebody come hire me. I need to be the leading male in a romance. I want to love women intensely on screen. I don't know. Is that weird? But also, I really want to be in a movie that's just got like tons of water rushing. Like, I want to do that water stuff. I want to get swept away. I want to be underwater.
I knew you'd feel that way. You'd be like, oh, water stunts. I want to do water stunts. But I was watching it and I was like, I wonder if this is where part of my fear of cruise ships has come from.
Understandable.
Because my reaction to that film, which it probably was forever ago and I don't remember, was, I'm never getting on a cruise ship.
I've been on a sailboat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're not scared of the water. Water freaks me out.
No, I grew up as a lifeguard.
Yeah, you're basically a fish. You're basically Aquaman.
Dreams. Hashtag dreams.
Yeah.
But I really want to just like play around in water and get pushed around and be scared and I love it.
It looks actually scary to me.
Hire me.
Okay.
Somebody hire me.
Sure.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Cool. So do you have trivia for us?
I do.
I think that's a lot of what I had to say.
A lot of trivia.
Yeah.
I'll try to highlight some of the things that stood out to me.
Beautiful.
One of them I'll start with about James Cameron again and water. So two of your favorite things.
Yes.
He went on 12 dives to the real Titanic.
So Is this what started the dive thing for him, you think? Or do you know? You don't
He'd
know?
already made The Abyss prior to this.
Got it.
So he was already very
like the other James
into
Cameron movie I haven't seen.
the ocean. We'll do that sometime too. It's excellent.
We should.
But he went on 12 dives to the real Titanic, which...
That's so
Again,
cool.
this trivia is from online. I haven't interviewed James Cameron. He's supposedly found to be a very emotionally overwhelming experience. He did shoot a lot of real footage of it. I don't know how much in the movie is that footage versus sets to get exact things, but I know he did shoot a lot of real footage on his dives. An interesting thing
okay, so just talk about just like the dive footage and just like other beautiful James Cameron things.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they like transitioned from like on ships to dive footage and like in those edits, and so they use that many times to show like these beautiful edits and transitions. And then when she's like running around looking for Jack, we use the camera through her perspective to get used to walking around through her eyes. So then when she dies and we're going through the hulls of the sunken Titanic, we understand that we are moving as Rose through the sunken Titanic that becomes the other Titanic because we're used to that through all it's fucking damn, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about James Cameron and his dives.
Well, so he did so many dives and so much filming of the actual wreck of the Titanic that, according to internet trivia, he actually spent more time with the Titanic than any of the living passengers did.
Oh, wow.
Which I just thought was kind of an interesting...
Yeah.
Beyond that, because according to IMDb, there is real footage included in the film of the actual Titanic. He did not want to shoot the footage from inside a submersible, like has been done for the documentaries that have been made about the Titanic. He wanted the camera. He wanted nothing between the camera and it. So his brother Mike Cameron and Panavision developed a brand new Deepsea Camera for the movie Titanic, capable of withstanding the 400 atmospheres or numbers, the pressure of that kind of depth.
We're film nerds. We're not divers.
They invented a new camera to be able to shoot from not inside a submarine to get the footage used in the movie, which means the movie has
some of the best footage
with less between it than the documentary did that came out on IMAX prior to this movie.
It's beautiful.
It's
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Ooh, trivia that I noticed during the movie. Should we talk about that?
Okay, yeah. Oh.
When Jack was drawing her,
yes,
I immediately was like, that hand is older than Jack's hands. That's not what Leo's hands look like.
It is. Supposedly that is James Cameron's hands. They filmed sketching it.
So cool.
Further trivia, James Cameron is left-handed, so they shot it and flipped the footage.
That's so cool to me. Like, whenever, and I know we've done it in our movies, flipping footage.
It's such a simple trick that's like so cool every time. I don't know.
It also never makes sense to my brain. My brain cannot comprehend like, oh, we'll just do it left-handed and then flip it and it'll look like a right hand. I'm like, no, it'll be upside down. Like I swear, like I know that's how it works, but it doesn't work in my brain.
It still just doesn't. Yeah. In the scene where the water floods the grand staircase and a lot of the fancier rooms, they only had one take.
Obviously.
Because they only had one set and they destroyed it.
Yeah.
Which is just one of those things that in film I think sometimes you don't think about that is such a real thing in so many films. You destroy something like that, you get one take, one shot, you hope the water flows the way you want the water to flow because...
You hope your cameras are set up in a good place to get it nicely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Filmmaking's cool.
Gloria Stewart, who played Old Rose, was only 86 when she was playing 100-year-old Rose. And so they actually put old age makeup on her to make her look as old as they wanted. So Gloria Stewart, that's not actually what she looked like when they shot the movie, which she supposedly found very unpleasant. And she did live to be 100, though.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she died in 2010 at 100.
She's great. So... I knew she was going to throw it in the ocean at the end.
Yeah.
Because of the Britney Spears music video.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
I thought the old lady threw it in the ocean. She did. And I went down there and got it. And I was just like, oh, that's from Titanic. As a kid, I never understood what was going on in the music video. Like, he gives her the thing, and she's like, it was in the ocean. And I'm like, but they're in space. I'm like, what is happening? I don't get it, Brittany. Now I get it.
Yay!
I'm so glad.
Another thing that seems too exact to be coincidence, I have to assume James Cameron did this on purpose, because otherwise it's insane. Well, two things. One is that reportedly the duration of the iceberg contact, the crash, the hit was 37 seconds, which it is in the film.
Yes.
But also that the whole flashback sequence, all the parts in 1912,
yes, they're timed perfectly.
2 hours and 40 minutes, which is exactly how long it took the Titanic to sink.
That's 240?
That's 240.
It does not feel like 240.
That's the length of the flashback is 240, and the film as a whole is 314.
Wow.
Yeah. But also, like, that's how long the ship was sinking for, too.
Yeah. Which is also why you can't edit it down, because otherwise it wouldn't be perfect.
Yeah, it was a very purposeful, but also, like, it didn't feel like he stretched footage at any point. It didn't feel like he had this idea of, like, oh, I'm going to hit this time limit and then compromise the quality of pacing to hit that. It was just perfectly paced and timed and never felt slow or quick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Critics be damned. It was not a flop.
Another thing.
Yeah.
This may be inappropriate to share.
Oh.
And you might tell me to cut this.
Okay.
Honestly, had you told 14-year-old me that there were boobs in this movie, I would have watched this movie earlier.
Oh my gosh. So I'm not going to cut that because it's something I read on the internet today looking up trivia.
Yeah.
So I was looking up trivia and
It's a PG-13 movie with boobs in it.
Yes, it is. So I was looking across a couple websites to try to confirm how long it was in theaters, which was tricky because different states, different theaters, different cities, those things fluctuate based on ticket sales.
And it turned out it was just 14-year-old boys wanting to see boobs?
No, but so I was on just a Reddit thread where somebody was talking about how long it was in their town. People were discussing like how long Titanic ran in their city. And a couple people were talking about how they were too young to see R-rated movies.
Yeah.
But they were able to convince their parents to take them and drop them repeatedly to see this historic film. And they were like, yeah, we went 1,000,000 times just to see boobs.
For real?
They're like, if we're being honest, we were like 12 and we went a bunch to see boobs because our parents would take us and get us tickets.
If teenage me had known, I would have bought this movie so much sooner. I would have watched it all the time.
So that was...
Both because I love the romance and boobs.
But I think this also explains why ticket sales went up and up from the first weekend because all these teenage boys were like, dude... Titanic.
Did you know it's PG-13? You can see boobs?
It's got boobs. That's why I buy fifth weekend. That's the real reason why I buy the fifth weekend. Those sales.
For real. For real, though. And, like, I just want to thank James Cameron because I think the first time probably I saw boobs on screen...
Was it because of James Cameron?
Was Terminator.
Whoa.
And that's James Cameron.
Wow.
Thank you.
He's just out there.
showing me boobs.
So, a fun thing about the boobs in this movie, just to keep on this, was when Kate Winslet learned she was going to be naked in front of Leonardo DiCaprio to break the ice. I don't know if it was the first time they met or just the first like reading for this film, because I don't know if they met before this film, but supposedly she flashed him to break the ice.
That's
so that
amazing.
nothing would be weird.
Yeah.
Beyond that and building up to that scene.
And that scene's so great though, and they both do so good, and it like is gorgeous, and the movie's gorgeous.
It is. It is.
Dang, it's a dang good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so just another thing about the film.
Yes.
That is gorgeous and I think a reason to watch it, and also a reason it is so successful, and a reason that it connects with so many people, is beyond the message of like it's about the journey, which is a gorgeous message.
Yeah.
And all those other, and make what you can of life and all of that. There's also this wonderful class struggle.
Yes.
That you're seeing go on, and like watching Jack pretend to be a higher class than he is just so heartbreaking, and I think relatable for so many people that feel beneath others. And there's just so many beautiful moments of Jack trying so hard to be a part of a world that doesn't want him, and that feeling is just so beautiful and relatable.
Belonging.
And yeah, that he doesn't belong, and it's because he doesn't have the money to belong. And then I think that that's even nailed in harder when the gates are shut and you've got all the people and you've got the Irish boy yelling, just give us a chance. Just give us a chance to live. Yeah. Because I think that that's something that's so relatable. A lot of people don't feel like they have the chance even, like the opportunity that the others had. The others had the opportunity to get on the boat where he didn't even have the opportunity. He was behind a gate. Like, the movie just is, it works. It just, the whole thing works and it's great. And there's so many different levels to it.
Something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect, which, like I said, it's been a long time since I watched it, and I enjoyed it much more watching it this time around. Was I didn't expect it to feel like weirdly more painful and impactful and emotional to watch during a pandemic.
Yes.
Which is like a weird thing to say. It's not a pandemic movie, but like the parallels of the classism and the struggling to survive and the scene where the ship is sinking and the rich people are inside still. They don't go out on the deck because it's cold. It's inconvenient. And just like so much of...
Oh, yeah, and the fact that there's not enough lifeboats and just the...
There's not enough lifeboats, and like you were saying, the poor people don't even have a chance to get to them. And the rich people don't want to use them because it's inconvenient and it's cold outside at first even.
Yeah, and at the beginning they're just trying to pretend
that everything's okay.
That everything's okay to not cause panic.
Yep. You don't want them to panic.
And obviously once they panicked on the Titanic, it didn't get better.
Yeah, but also like even if they had like there weren't enough lifeboats, like what?
Yeah, but they didn't have the supplies to succeed.
Yeah, there was no scenario where they saved everyone.
No. But why didn't they put enough people on all those boats?
Yeah.
Like, and it's because they just weren't thinking about all the people.
No, that's
a
constant flaws. We're not thinking about all the people. We're not thinking about the people that aren't even being given a chance.
Yeah, the people like Jack that he doesn't have the chance to be where he wants to be.
Yeah,
and like he's willing to gamble it all. And like at the beginning, he says, "If you have nothing, you have nothing to lose."
Yeah.
And like, so he lives to that in the fact that he had nothing, so he was willing to risk everything all the time. And then you also have the asshole that Rose is engaged to, who has everything, so he makes his own chance, and he doesn't even think about those people below him.
Nope.
And like, Jack saves Rose's life, and he's like, $20 is worth it. Like, that's a lot to him.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I mean, the writing too, like the parallels that like Jack was going to save Jack would have died to save that kid in the hallway. And then the other guy sees the kid, is going to leave it, and then realizes he can use the kid.
Yeah. Ugh. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous film.
Okay, so a really like sad piece of trivia, if you know it and then watch the film.
I don't know if I can handle this.
Is that James Cameron supposedly gave a lot of the extras full backstories and like really gave them material to be, and also supposedly a lot of the extras are based on the actual
I've heard about this
survivors and people that died on the ship. Are you going to talk
about the old people?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you can...
I don't know about the old people. I just know I think there's supposed to be a thing.
There's supposed to be, I think,
there's
Macy's
like a thing.
Or one of the owners of one of the department stores that actually died together.
You think?
I think. I've been reading a lot about this, and the internet's the internet. You gotta take it all with a grain of salt, unless you interview an expert. None of this is just fun.
But so what was this cool
this one
fact?
But so supposedly a lot of the lines exchanged, like as people are getting on lifeboats, and final moments between background extras are taken from survivors saying, yeah, this is the last thing my father said to me as I got on a lifeboat.
Like the bit where he's like, this isn't...
The guy that says it's only for a little while is based on real testimony, and the scene where the man says, hold mommy's hand and be a little good girl, according to survivor Eva Hart, those were the last words her father said to her. So he really included in his script a lot of very true moments, and a lot of the extras were cast and styled to be actual extras from the Titanic, not extra people who actually were on the Titanic. It was a very deeply thought out.
I mean, obviously he cared so much about this piece, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah. A more fun piece of trivia was how
we'll end on a fun note.
Yeah, we'll end on a more fun note. How open James Cameron supposedly was to letting people ad-lib and how excited he would get when people would ad-lib. When they're loading the lifeboats and the guy with the pistol that's not loaded yells at them, "I will shoot you like dogs."
Yeah.
Or I don't know the exact line. Supposedly that line was ad-libbed by that actor. And after the take, James Cameron went up to him so excited, was like, "Do that in every take. That was excellent. Say that again." But the guy was so in the heat of the moment. I mean, those sets and that he was like, "What did I say?" I don't know. What did I say? He didn't.
It's filmed, so you can't just roll it back like digital.
Heat of the moment, but then it was. But so watching the film, then I was like, I wonder if they didn't have, weren't able to play it back, because then when he says that line, you're seeing the back of his head.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was for impact or because they never got that line on his face.
I'm going to say it was for impact, because
I mean, it played perfectly.
It plays great, and you get the reaction, which matters more than what he's saying.
Yes.
And then you get to see his face when he turns around. Blah 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 blah. It's gorgeous.
Yes, but so then
if you haven't seen Titanic yet, just go watch it.
It's worth the time. It doesn't feel that long.
Dedicate yourself to it. That's the conclusion of this podcast.
Okay, so a little bit more of ad-libbing trivia.
Oh my goodness.
And then I'll stop. No, well, because this is fun trivia. It's not sad trivia. All the extras being real people. Supposedly, Kate Winslet, who's phenomenal.
Yep.
James Cameron attributes a lot to her as well. Supposedly the scene where Rose meets Jack to thank him for saving her life was improvised by the two actors at James Cameron's request, and the spitting scene is almost all ad-lib.
Oh, that's cute. Because they're just having fun and stuff.
He also credits Kate Winslet with writing the heart-wrenching line, "This is where we first met," at the end there, as well as suggesting Rose spit in Cal's face rather than, as scripted, jabbing him with a hairpin.
Yeah,
he attributes that to her as well.
The spitting,
the other
comes
scene,
back to the other scene,
which is so beautiful and perfect.
Yeah.
But also, supposedly they had to do so many retakes for that scene that they had to start using lube because her spit ran out. She couldn't keep spitting.
That's amazing.
She ran out. She couldn't do it.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's wonderful, gross bit of final trivia. Thanks, Lolo.
Yeah, I'm doing my part here to keep this very powerful, emotional movie light and trivial. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's wonderful. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to our podcast.
Yes, thank you so much.
The first episode.
If you are still listening, I'm going to assume you enjoyed it, and you might as well click subscribe and rate us.
We've got some great episodes coming up.
We do. Some awesome movies.
How do we close this thing?
I have no idea.
Just say thanks and bye. All right, let's do it. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Bye.